Sweet surrender as I love, serve, and remember.
For those of you who don't know what mirror work is, that's when you look into the mirror and you say things to yourself. It was spoofed in Saturday Night Live very well by Stuart Smalley. And my favorite was when Michael Jordan was on the Saturday Night Live and Stuart Smalley told him to look into the mirror. Michael Jordan, you are good enough. I like you. So we can make fun of it, but it's really powerful. So I did it a couple times this past week, and it just felt great. So what I was asking people to say is, I am loving, I am lovable, I am loved. To look into the mirror, and if you can, do it like 30 times a day. I find it's easiest to do it 10 times, 3 morning, afternoon, and night. And it just feels so good. I haven't done it in so long, and it was just such a nice little practice. It's so simple, and yet lovely to return to. And the coolest thing happened. This person who I do not know, from Adam, I probably know Adam better than this person, on social media just sent me this past week a message. I don't know, they're a healing person in another state, and they just wanted to send me a positive message. And they said, you are loving, you are lovable. And I'm like, how did they know? It was great. It was just like that mirror. So I was looking in the mirror, and then it got mirrored back to me in life. And that's how life works. We all know that it all starts with consciousness, and the world outside is our mirror, right? And so we get it's not about judging ever, because we're all learning. Every one of us, even the spiritual masters, they're learning. There's nobody who's not learning on this planet. No one is above, like, oh, I know everything. Even the spiritual teacher, Buddha, Jesus, they're learning. They were learning too. My teachers, Yogananda, learning. They're not like all. No one is infinite while you're in a human being. So we're all learning. So no judgment. And so what it does is it reflects back to us something about our inner life, about where we are in consciousness. And so as we're looking at home, we've been looking at home all month. The initial topic for today was about our dream home. And so it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to play with. What is my dream home? And we can use the external as pointers, just like when you look in a mirror and you didn't realize you had like a pimple there, and you're like, oh, you know. So externals can be a pointer to like, oh, this is something I might want to work on if I don't like it in my consciousness. Or, wow, I really appreciate this. How many of you do that? Look in the mirror and go, wow, I'm really awesome. Look how beautiful I am today. Try it. So looking at our dream home, what are the things that matter to us? And again, the external is a pointer to what matters to us. And what part of my home do I want to celebrate, my consciousness of home, and what do I want to work on? What brings beauty? I've been having so much fun playing around in this imaginary house. When I was in 6th grade, we all had to create a home, a dream home. And so everyone got their boxes and the floors, and you did all the living room and the dining room and the bed. You know, they were all pretty much the same. For being creative, we really wanted to fit in. And this was the 70s, so everybody had a water bed. And even though we lived in Cleveland and it's cold most of the year, everybody had a pool in their backyard for the 3 months of warmth. So it was an interest as I was reflecting on, like, it's amazing how similar these inner homes are, the things that we value and need, a place that's safe, a place that's comforting, so we have a living room and the dining room. And I've done a lot of work, imagery with houses, so I'm not as familiar with West Coast houses. We have our realtors who know those things. But I know in the East Coast, most houses had basements and attics. There were a lot of floors on the East Coast. And so the basement generally represents our subconscious, our unconscious mind. Attic is our higher consciousness. But you can also be dreaming. I know other people, we all have those dreams of school, You didn't show up for class, you didn't get your grade that you wanted, but you might dream about the actual building. I, for years, dreamt about my high school. I dreamt about the church that I was in. You can be dreaming about your workplace. So all of these actually are elements of your dream home, because our dream home isn't limited just to where we sleep and eat. Our dream home includes our whole life, right? So just allow your imagination to play this. I'm going to make two invitations this week, and one is to play with your dream home. What isn't being developed or nurtured in your dream home? One of the things I was thinking about is playroom. Do you have a playroom in your inner consciousness, a place that's just for play, not for an agenda, not to get anywhere, but just to play? Is that like an important room in your inner home, in your inner consciousness? I thought about that because I know growing up, my dad in our basement, in fact, I didn't even think about it till just now, our tiles look just like this. And he made a handball court. The brown tiles were the court, the light brown were the borders. And then we put a little wood thing and we played handball down there. Right? Create play. Beauty. The beauty in the environment. Is your inner world a beautiful environment? Is it a harmonious environment? I know one of the things that I deal with all my life is this inner war, and I'm constantly doing healing work to bring greater harmony, and then it shows up in a different way. So it's constantly, are there different elements in my inner world that need to be friends, make friends with each other? Harmony, beauty, gentleness, activity, whatever. Everyone's different. I know Jack's going to have a music room in his inner home. A love shack. Do you have a spiritual altar in your home? What does that look like? Another aspect of this environment, when I was thinking about dream home, is the people that inhabit our dream home. Are these people with whom I feel safe, that I want to play with? That, in fact, it just popped in my head. I remember this. My mother was reading articles about perfect relationships. She had separated from my dad, and she was reading these articles, and what they said was that the happiest relationships where the spouses were friends, where they just had a good time together, that was the longevity. If you don't have a good time together, it's hard for it to last. Anyways, just throwing that out there. Well, I'm throwing it out there because I just saw something very interesting about in the New York Times today that came to my email. And I didn't read the article, but I just saw the opening sentences, and it said that we are becoming more and more alone. That people are less and less spending time with friends, significantly. Like this is a significant change in how we're showing up, even since 2019. And we're not choosing to even as we're not spending as much time with our friends, they say it wasn't transferring to partners or spouses or even children or family. People were choosing to be by themselves more than ever before. And I didn't read the article, but the sense I was getting from the article that this is not healthy. And so I was contemplating that this morning. Our inner environment, one of the things with technology, like what's your technology part of your house, your inner home look like? Because with technology, the big joy is like, I don't have to do rush hour traffic anymore. I can work from home. Remote working is awesome. Well, I just walk 3 minutes, but I'm just talking, generally this idea that remote working is really great. Spiritual communities, of all different religious denominations are dropping away. People aren't going anymore. They'll either go online or they're just doing stuff on their own. It's just so much easier than having to come and participate physically with your whole being in a community. So we're sort of, I'm not trying to be critical, I was just thinking about the article, which is a terrible thing having not read the article. But I did see the beginning. They were spending a lot of time alone. And thinking, it's almost like it's easier. We're so happy for all this ease. I don't need to go to the store to get groceries. I can get them delivered to me. I can get or just park into a parking lot. I see all those parking spaces marked off. You don't have to get out of your car. They will bring you stuff. It's like we're doing everything we possibly can to avoid touching, being in the physical presence of other people. And is that the inner environment? Is that what your dream home looks like? Is no people or very few people? When they told me that when I got my Myers-Briggs done when I was young, and they gave talking to my parents, they told my parents to make sure I was always with people because I would become a hermit. And what I remember is he was concerned about that. That was not a good thing. And so I just on my own took that on, like make sure I'm around other people, and it makes a huge difference. It's hard. I have to push myself out the door sometimes, but I'm always so grateful I do. I always feel so much more refreshed when I've connected with other human beings, but it takes effort. Well, unless you're an extrovert. But even the extroverts I'm knowing are withdrawn. It's just interesting. I'm not saying, these are huge generalities, and I'm going a lot by anecdotal. But there is a withdrawal of being with people because it's harder. And especially in the climate that's happening today, what can you say, what can't you say, walking on eggshells. It's like, it's just so much easier to be on my own. So I'm not giving any answers to this. I'm just saying, it's interesting. What does your dream home look like? Is your dream home only with a few people and everybody agree with each other because it's safer? Because I was talking about harmony. Creativity often happens when there isn't harmony, when there's tension. Well, actually, it's usually a little bit of both. There's some tension there. What does your dream home look like? How populated is it with other people? How energetic are you in your home? Is it always a home where you want to just collapse, or is it you want to have vitality and joy? And again, not just your house or your place inhabiting, but the world. So I was blessed. I had a really lovely dream home already when I was a kid. We had a big house, great schools, great parents, great brothers. No one ever put me down. I was supported in whatever I wanted to do. If you're interested in piano, sure, we will. Let's take you to piano lessons. You in gymnastics? Let's take you to gymnastics. Never told I wasn't good enough. I was fortunately good at sports, so I did well. And this is elementary school I'm talking. I did well in elementary school, which matters when you're in elementary school, by the way. And I did fine in school and got all the checks. They didn't do grades, but all the checks. So everything was fine. I adored my family. We had so much fun. They were amazing and wonderful people. But there was something missing from me. I couldn't figure it out. All these things on the external had almost no impact on me. They didn't animate me, they didn't excite me, and I lived in a family that was fully animated, that loved this world, wanted to fully participate, create, do these, and all of that's good. I'm sitting there like, yes, I love that in you, but I don't feel that way, and I was a kid, I could not figure out why I didn't feel the same way. So I had a dream home. There was nothing missing. And it wasn't even that something was missing in terms of skill-wise with me, but there was something missing in my heart that I could not put my finger on. And it was incredibly painful because it was just me. It was 5 of them and me. So kids' not ability to understand my basic decision, or it wasn't a decision, that's an intellectual thing. My feeling was I was inherently flawed, unworthy. Almost, I would say there was feelings of, not physical ugliness, but ugliness of soul that I felt. And it caused me so much pain, and I was always trying to hide it. I didn't want anyone to know, so I did everything externally that I was supposed to do. But there was this pain, this soul ache that was with me all the time, and I didn't know how, I didn't have any answers myself. If someone started asking me, I wouldn't have known. I just know that I was wrong, because I liked being around my family too. They were fun. There was nothing wrong. It wasn't like they're bad. What do you do when you have that pain? And so what I'm saying is that even in this ideal situation, there was this soul pain that I could not describe. And that pain there became the definition of so much of my spiritual journey after. It's that very confusion, exploration, sadness, the darker side of my life actually became something that I had to find some answer to in my life. It wasn't, because I couldn't just keep doing the external. I could, and I did, but always there was this divided side. Sometimes we can't see what something is, but we feel it. And so I'm guessing that some of you have felt that way, a little bit like a misfit, like you're around and you get it, but you don't fit, and you don't know why. So it's those very things that sometimes push us outside of our ideas, our conceptions of what a dream home looks like. We have our ideas of what a dream home looks like, but there might be elements in ourselves that don't even fit in our own conceptions of what dream home. I was always taken by the stories. There was a story in the Bible where, in the New Testament, and I should have looked it up before I came here, but there's a sheep, and there's one sheep that's off, and Jesus says, you got to get that one sheep. All the sheep matter. And so I find I always get uncomfortable on my journey. It's been a source of discomfort when everyone goes, well, here's whatever. This is the way to be. And I'm like, okay, that's the way to be for you, but there's always those people it doesn't fit. I'm very sensitive to that because I was the one person when everybody else agreed. I wasn't trying to be obstinate. I wasn't trying to be rebellious. It was there. So I'm aware that other people, sometimes when I feel part of the majority, I'm aware that other people don't feel that. And I know what that feels like, and I know you do too. And it's those very things that often set us into this extraordinary profundity of a journey. And sometimes what pulls us onto a journey is a calling to be more creative than what we already experienced. So you have our dream home, and like I said, in 6th grade, we all did sort of the same dream homes. But there might be a time where you're like, this feels too cookie cutter. I want to explore outside the boundaries. I was listening to the guy who wrote and created the Toy Story. He did a ton of movies, actually, but that was his first really big one. And he said at the time he asked Tom Hanks to be the main character, and Tom Hanks is like, well, do I have to sing? And it stopped him and his team, the creators, because up until that point, all of the animated movies were like Aladdin, Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast. They all had music, they all had a love story, they all had a happy village. I mean, he was just going through and we decided we didn't want any of those things. No love story, no happy village, no clear villain. What was the other one? No singing. And nobody could imagine it. So they got a lot of pushback. Nobody could imagine it. What they were doing is they were moving outside the typical dream home into a whole new territory that nobody had been in yet. And so they got a lot of pushback, and people were very skeptical of it until they did Toy Story, and it was a huge success. And then that started a whole new genre. So when we have our dream home, and it's fun to play and create and say, are there elements of this dream home that need to be expanded? There are things that I need to go outside of what I know, what is familiar to me, because I have a creative calling inside of me, because I have a pain inside of me. Something isn't right fitting, even though it's a great dream home, there's something that's not fitting. What's pulling me to explore into new territories? Right? Do y'all feel that sometimes? What's pulling me into these new territories? And so that's what we're really committing to as a community, in this year coming up, into the end of the year. I share this every year, but I know we have, it's a good reminder. What inspired this idea, first of all, I love this time of year, because for me it's just very alive with spirit. And I was taking a class on the Old Testament, and what the professor was saying was that the Jews, when they came up with their creation story, were in exile. They were in Babylon. And so they had no place. And so the professor was giving all sorts of examples of tribes and indigenous cultures whose creation stories were very place-oriented. But because the Jews did not have a place when they came up with their creation story was made in time. Isn't that fascinating? Like, rather than having a place, it was about time. So we have the 7 days of creation. It's a moment of time. So in the spirit of that, that's the way I look at this end of the year, that this is not a pilgrimage in place. We're not going anywhere, but we're going on a pilgrimage in time between now and the end of the year, and we're doing it deliberately, consciously, intentionally. What is the pilgrimage? What is that new thing that wants to be birthed in you? What is that, maybe that pain inside of you that isn't being addressed by your environment currently, inwardly or outwardly? It's going to be different for everybody. And it doesn't, there's this great, I read a great little story where this saint comes into Rome, and there was this is like in the 3rd century, and this woman was a recluse. She didn't leave her house, and he was very skeptical of her, and he went and said, what are you doing just sitting here? And she said, I'm not sitting, I'm on a journey. You can be in a journey just sitting, that inward consciousness journey. So being clear, what is this journey that I'm being called on or choosing to go on between now and the end of the year? Abraham, who is the father of the Abrahamic religions, right? Judaism, Christianity, Islam. Three great religions. Abraham was asked to uproot his home and to move away. And when he uprooted and left, he had no clear conception of what his destination was. He didn't go, I'm going here and I'm going to move here. He didn't know where he was going. It was the unknown. This is the beginning of the 3 major Western religions, is moving from what is known to the unknown. Isn't that incredible? And that tents, not houses. The Israelites moved with tents because, as I was listening to this reading a lot of different things, that the spiritual journey, which is also, as we heard in the Tao Te Ching means the way. The spiritual journey is the way, and when we're on a spiritual journey, we're movers. This person was saying, you can't, because it's infinite, you're gonna be moved, whether it's by pain or by vision or by a calling or both. We're going to be moved. It is not static. So this ideal of the great founder of 3 religions anchored himself on earth and did not move. He was moving all the time, as was the Israeli people. Tents. We travel lightly, and that's why it's so important as we're traveling, as we're going into these journeys into the unknown, to know, okay, what do I carry with me? Like the turtle with the shell. What's my tent that I'm carrying with me? And for me, it's always my spiritual practices. That's my touchstone. They can be as simple or as complicated, but no matter how disorienting or whatever's going on in whatever area that I'm growing in, because it's new and it's unknown, I still connect with that absolute self through my spiritual practices. So as we're going through this journey, it doesn't mean letting go of our touchstone of God. When Abraham left his home, he didn't leave God. He was following this divine presence. He was following the divine presence within him. And that's the key. You're not going into darkness or into the unknown by yourself as a limited, finite human being. You are going with this infinite love intelligence that is walking before you and making the crooked places straight, that is carrying you when it's difficult, that is guiding you when you need guidance, because you're going to need guidance if you're in the unknown. You don't have those familiar landmarks. And the only way we can listen to that divine presence is to incorporate that into our very existence, into our very life, and be authentic about it. So I also want to say this because we're going into the holidays. Everyone's experience of the holidays is different. I heard Glennon Doyle say this, and I just thought it was so perfect. They were singing the song, "It's the most wonderful time of the year." And actually, their sister said, well, let's just take the word wonderful and just say it's the most time of the year. The most of whatever you're going through. If you have stress, it's more stress. If you're having joy, it's more joy. If you're going through grief, it's like everything is intensified this time of year. And I also really love this idea of being authentic to ourselves. And when she was talking about this, this is just a great story, and I was trying to figure out how I could work it in the talk, so I'm working it, because I just loved it so much. She was talking about her two daughters, and they decided, this was when they were little, and they're going to get their ears pierced. And the younger daughter, they get to the store, and the younger daughter, just who vivacious and just, yes, I'm doing it. She just jumped in the chair. Okay, let's do it. And the person who's doing the ear piercing, he said, well, one at a time or both? She goes, both. I'm doing it all at once. And she gets it, and she cringes, and her ears are red, but she's so happy she got it done. And the older daughter's like, yeah, I don't think I want to do that. And then the person who's doing the ear piercing, oh, come on, be brave like your sister. Come do it. And she said, yeah, no, I don't want to do it. And then they left. And I love what Glennon said to her oldest daughter. She said, I want you to know you were brave too. Being brave doesn't mean you're going to force yourself to do what you're supposed to do. That is not brave. Being brave is listening to your heart. And in that moment, you had pressure both from your little sister and from that person. Be brave. Do something that goes against your heart. And you did even the braver thing by following your heart. So as we go through this holiday season, they had one other great statistic. 45% of adults who were surveyed said they would just rather skip the holidays and just jump right to January. So everyone has different perspectives and different experiences. I say all of that because sometimes when I'm up here, I'm aware that everyone has different experiences, and you feel like, well, that's how I should be. There's no should. Be authentic to yourself. We're going through this journey, but this is your journey. Be authentic to your journey. What is your journey? What is your inner self saying? So my last invitation is sort of going into this darkness of the unknown. The other example that was given was of Moses. And Moses begins his journey by the burning bush, the light of the burning bush. Bright light, he gets the call. So we get the call to leave our dream home. And as he's going on the journey, there's a pillar it's a combination of clouds and fire that go along with him on the journey. And the Israelites, as they're traveling, again, in tents, not clear what their destination is. So the light's getting a little bit dimmer. It's half and half now. It started off as this great light, call, clear, going. And he said, and then the final revelation of Moses is when he's on Mount Sinai, and he says total darkness. It's this profound darkness. And he says it's like leaving the partial knowledge of light into the much deeper and profound knowledge that comes from the deep darkness. That the darkness is not empty, it's incredibly full, and it has everything that we have. He said it's an illumined darkness. It's a dazzling darkness. So as we go forth into the rest of this month, my invitation to you is to be willing to leave the partial light of what you know and let yourself, to the extent that you feel safe and are able to do it, to go into the darkness of the unknown, to go into the mystery. I love what they said. The mystery is not something that doesn't have solution. Who would watch a mystery show where you didn't find out who did it in the end? The mystery has a solution that you cannot see at the beginning of the journey, but is revealed by the end of the journey. So we began the service today of what your intentions are between now and the end of the year, to allow ourselves to go into the unknown, but not into an unknown abyss of nothingness, but to go into the unknown to find the light that lighteth up the universe that is not of this world, where it will give us answers that we can never find if we just stay in the traditional dream home that we might initially come up with. Y'all with me on this? Play with your dream home. I've been having a ball, just in your head. You can make one if you want. Or talk to a realtor, she'll buy you one. I mean, I'll help you get one. But play with the inner dream home. What are the elements of it? And find, as you're creating your dream home, are there pieces that your soul feels like, okay, I know I feel something might be missing, but I don't know what it is. Or both and, I love this dream home, but I feel like there's something calling me for something even greater that I can't see now. So become in tune with, because this journey has no point if we're not in tune with the mystery in our life, if we're not in tune with that thing that's in the darker elements that we can't see, but we know it's where the riches are. That's where the treasure is, and we allow the treasures of that darkness to call us. So see if you can hear the calling of this treasure that's beyond visible sight. You can't see it with your eyes, but your soul knows it. Feel that calling and let it pull you this month, and it's going to be an extraordinary, powerful journey for all of us. Let's pray. So we take those beautiful cleansing breaths. I am so grateful to return moment after moment after moment into this extraordinary light and love, and this light that contains the darkness beyond which we can humanly conceive, this presence that is everything. That is everything, and it is everything to us, all of us right here and right now. Just allow yourself to fully know, whether you can feel it or not, just know that there is a presence right now, closer to you than your very breath, right now, that is infinite love, infinite intelligence. It knows everything about you. It knows everything that who you were before you were conceived. It knew you. This presence and this power knew you when you were born, and it has known every single experience in your life, every thought, every feeling, every emotion, every intention that wasn't fulfilled, every dream that might not be realized, things that have been wonderful and things that have been challenging. It knows everything, everything. Right into this very moment. Right into this very moment, we just breathe in and know that in this moment, every part of our being is loved, it is seen, it is accepted. There's nothing that we can do to make this love any greater than it already is. There's nothing that we can do that can make this love any greater than it already is. The love that we have seen in other people, those highest moments of love in our own life, we see in spiritual traditions, in ecstatic moments, in deep meditative moments. All of that love is contained right here in this moment. We choose to recognize this infinite oceanic love at the center of our being, as the center of our being, as our life, as everything that we are inwardly and outwardly. It is all of our relationships. It is our home inwardly and outwardly. It is our health, our physical health, our emotional health, our mental health. It is our work life, our creative expression that is so essential to our soul. It is everything that we are as individuals, and it is everything that we are as community. all the many, many communities that we are flowing through day in and day out. It is all of it. We feel that sense of love and peace and joy with every person with whom we come in contact, because we choose to see that which is real, that which is transcendent beyond the field of the right and the wrong, and into the absolute presence of pure love. We see, even as our country has gone through so much pain this past week with shootings, we do not turn away. We turn toward with our hearts wide open and see the truth that the divine presence and the divine love is right there in the midst of all of it, beyond our human understanding, beyond anything we conceive. Not to make light of it, but to see the depths of this love. We are committed to seeing this love everywhere we turn. Wherever our face turns, we see love. In the midst of things that are so unlovable, in the things that are so outside of acceptability in terms of the exterior. But we are here as spiritual beings, and we are committed to be spiritual warriors for ourselves and for all beings. For it is from this choice today, in this moment, we are the power and the place of healing. We are the power and the place of heaven on earth. We are that place. We are that source. We are that place of love, loving, and love. No one can ever hurt, harm, or endanger this love that we are. No one can ever limit this love or take away this love. This is who we were born to be, day in and day out for all eternity. We are that love itself. And so I gratefully and joyfully say thank you. Thank you that we get to go on this journey to explore and become this love even more than we ever could imagine throughout this time of year, through now to the end of the year. Thank you for walking in us, through us, as us, throughout this entire wonderful, extraordinary time where we truly get to connect as heaven on earth, right here, right now, as all of us, as all life. We stand in the absolute truth of this. We stand in the absolute truth of this. One love. Never limited, never hurt, one love. It is the Alpha and the Omega and everything in between. It is the mystery and it is the known. It is everything. And this is where we stand. No matter where we are in life, this is where we stand. To love be the glory. We just say thank you, thank you, thank you, God. And we release this prayer. We release this conscious knowing that we are not in control. We don't have to make it happen. It is already there. We release our sense of force or making happen, and we just let it go. We let it go. It already is. We have claimed it. We have accepted it. We know it is true. We let it be. We let it be, for it is already done. Yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so in deep abiding gratitude, we let it be, and I invite you to now join me in saying, and so it is.
I walk in God in all I do. I walk in God in all that I say.